Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm very excited. I just got back from the Language Influencers Summit in Berlin and got to meet a load of amazing people there. So if you're one of them people and you're watching this, then I had an absolutely amazing weekend. I can't express how much I enjoyed it, and I definitely look back to going to some of the events in the future. So yeah, what do I want to talk about today? Today I want to talk about my language routine. So when I was first learning Spanish, I talked quite a lot about my very specific routine that I had set up, and that was around very intensive work with dialogues, right? But seeing as that was when I first started and I was using beginner and intermediate resources, since I started reading more in Spanish, my routines changed a little bit. So I wanted to talk about what's changed now I've moved on to a more advanced routine. So in the early stages, typically I work with stuff that's very, very short and go over it again and again and again in order to get the repetition I need to help things stick in my head, because otherwise words just seem to fall out like there's no tomorrow. But now I'm getting more and more advanced in the language. You can generally move away, at least I like to move away from this intensive approach and go more and more extensive the better I get. So most of my time now, when I have focused study time, I spend reading, and then I use my listening when I'm walking about or just watching TV in general. I get that in my immersion time. So for all intents and purposes, everything's exactly the same as what it was before, apart from what I do during my focused study time, and that's what I want to talk about today. So basically what I do is I open up Link and I have the whatever book I'm reading at the moment. So now it's Cien Años de Soledad by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, which is an absolutely fantastic book, but it's really, really difficult, right? So the idea behind this extensive reading approach is to cover as much ground as possible in the hope that you'll get exposed to as many new words as possible. The more words you get exposed to, the more chances you have to learn a new word. Because of how diminishing returns works in the language, you get less and less value from learning new words, so when focusing on a small amount you can get progress very, very fast as a beginner. The better you get, that becomes less and less and less effective. So I wake up in the morning, same as before, and I open a Link and I read through the chapter once from start to finish. In fact, if it's a very big book like the one I'm reading at the moment, when the chapters are long, typically I pick a certain amount of Link lessons to go through a day. So Link splits up the book into different sections, which I'll show you now. So here I am in 100 Years of Solitude, the book that I'm reading. So you can see every 4,000 words, if I import a lesson into Link, if it's longer than 4,000 words, it breaks it up the lesson. So on average, you get a lesson or one chapter from the book split into 4 parts. So I go through 2 parts of that every day. That's about 8,000 words of reading. So I read from start to finish. I get on bit 1 here, say if it's today, I read 1 and 2 and I go from start to finish looking up all the new words. So there's so many new words, this makes it very hard to grasp the overall meaning of what's going on, which means I still need some repetition and a little bit of help and guidance when I'm going along. So what I like to do is I read through once and then I read through again. So what I like to do is I read through once from start to finish, and that will normally take me up until the point when I'm actually arrived in work. So then throughout 5 minutes here and there throughout the day, I use the Link flashcards to review what I've already read and just review the vocabulary in this specific chapter. Not all my links, because there's too many, but just the ones that I'm reading on out of this chapter I'm doing today, because then it's more targeted and it can help me understand what I'm doing today. So then when I'm on the way back from work, then I would reread both of these. I'd reread both of these again and get a much, much clearer idea of what's going on. And actually, because this is quite a complicated book and it's hard to follow, then I've actually been using sparknotes.com, which is a great resource for language learners because it summarizes the plot of a book very, very short, maybe like 2 paragraphs per chapter. So I spend a lot of time reading in Spanish and then 30 seconds just to reconsolidate what's actually happened and kind of keep me involved in the plot. And it has happened before, I've actually missed some things. So this is a great way to help you actually interested in the plot, so to make sure you don't lose track of what's going on when you're trying to fight difficult content. Normally, because today it was 1 and 2, if I was reading 3 and 4, I'd read through the first time, then read all the chapter notes, and then read through the second time. So generally, my second read through of the last part of a chapter, my comprehension is really high because I've just read the notes. And that's basically it. So that's what I've been doing recently to help improve my Spanish on top of general immersion in TV. And I've been finding my vocabulary has been improving really quickly. You can see as they count words that link, which is not the most accurate measure, but it's a measure. I'm up to 17,000 words now in Spanish, and my comprehension of TV in general's actually quite good now. I understand a lot of shows. I mean, especially simple shows. I watched Naruto, a few episodes, and I understood all of it. I watched Hajime Ippo and I understood all of it, and stuff like Examen of Conscience, I think the English's name, and it's about the Catholic Church, and I could understand about 90% of that. So this really goes to show that reading really is the most powerful way to improve your vocabulary. And no matter what the language is, if you're learning, Chinese, Cantonese, Japanese, Spanish, German, whatever, you should really make reading part of your daily strategy. And that's it. So I want to thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, thank you very much for checking it out. And as well, if you are new, please click the subscribe button and the bell, because it really does help me out. And I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.